What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of, I guess, what is being billed as the fourth technical studio album by the rock band Evanescence. It's called Synthesis. Synthesis was announced back in May, and Amy Lee, the leader of this band, was saying that she'd had this idea floating around for a long time to have their composer that's worked on a lot of their records, David Campbell, to come in and do strings, arrangements, and really just shape up and give a new twist and feel to a lot of their old songs. She also revealed that they had been working on a couple of new songs as well, and here we have Synthesis. 2 new songs and reworked versions of some older ones, and also some interludes and that sort of thing, and it plays out like a classical meets modern album. So going into this, I wasn't as excited once I found out that the songs were just reworked ones and reimagined versions. We were going to have some that had darker beats and electronic feels, and then obviously the orchestration, so I didn't exactly know what to expect. And today I just want to let you know, obviously this isn't going to be a very long review because I don't feel like there's a ton to talk about. What all can I really say? I mean, I expected Amy Lee to knock it out of the park. Her voice is on point as always, and I love the fact that her vocals sound so strong over these symphonic elements, the sweeping, just triumphant feel, and the gloomy dark feel that a lot of these are added to. And a lot of these do play up on the element of emotion and obviously just kind of the slow burn effect. Many of these tracks utilize the building, brooding, and then finally soaring in the final act whenever the entire orchestra just unleashes. And she sounds great as a vocalist, and many of the reimagined versions I just can't imagine myself like listening to over and over and over again. That's the problem here. I think that they sound beautiful for the most part, but it's an hour and 2 minutes long, and it's kind of like sitting through a symphony piece, going to see one live, which is fine occasionally, especially for somebody like me, but it's not something that I think I'm going to continually come back to, especially when I prefer most of the original versions, but that's not always the case. Lost in Paradise from 2011's self-titled definitely kind of swept me off my feet. I'm loving that version, along with My Heart Is Broken, although I do prefer the original there just because you can really feel the power in the instrumentation, but a great rendering that we have here. My Immortal comes across powerful again, but I'm not seeing a ton of changes, especially on something like this, and I'm wondering why they wouldn't pick another track, because My Immortal was already piano driven. There's a lot of pianos on this remix album here, and I feel like the symphonic elements were already kind of there, and it was already kind of that gloomy type track, and not a ton changed from its original version. I think the band version, obviously, on Evanescence is Fallen is much different than this, but the original version of My Immortal versus this, there's not a ton of changes, and I just don't know if it was worth including. I was blown away by the quality of The End of a Dream. That one is just a magnificent swell, something that has so many pianos just lurking in the shadows, and this song really grabs hold of you. That and Lithium, I would say. That's another big one there, along with Your Star. Seeing these reworked versions really just kind of brought me out of the mire that I felt like I was in places with this album, and seeing how there were only 2 new songs, it finally gave me some more to get excited about, especially with repeated listens. The main reason I actually pulled the trigger on doing this review is because there are 2 new songs. They have a very dedicated fan base, and let's talk about those. High Low and Imperfection. Those are the only new ones here, and obviously you can call many of these reimagined songs new ones, but High Low is the first one, and then Imperfection, the final song on the record. They're very much spread apart. Track number 3 is High Low, track 16 is Imperfection, so you go a long time without getting any real new material, even though a lot of it does sound much different, hardly recognizable other than the lyrics and obviously the voice behind it. But High Low actually sounds more like a traditional Evanescence song to me. It is new, and I think it has existed for a little while. Amy Lee and the band fine-tuned it. Will Hunt, I think, primarily worked with her on this, and this one does come across striking, especially because it has those charismatic and just trademark vocals from Amy Lee. The you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how she hits those notes, she goes over her little arc, and I'm not complaining. It's a trademark for a reason, and I look to her for moments like this. So it very much is an enjoyable song, but I don't think it really differentiates itself that much from their back catalog. And on an album like this that was promising, I think, more bold things, I don't know if that exactly provides that. Even the Bring Me to Life Synthesis remix feels more different than this. Imperfection is the song that started this all. It's Amy Lee's passion project. She describes Synthesis as being exactly exactly that. She's saying, you know what, I've wanted this, I got everybody else on board, I got David Campbell, let's do the arrangements, and this is the song that sparked all that creativity. And is Imperfection worth it? Absolutely, this is a great song that definitely puts a lot of charge into Lee's voice. I think here she's trying to comment on the world and just how everybody feels like they're so fucked up and twisted and the world is kind of crumbling around them. It's not exactly a new message, but I think it's the way that she sells it and delivers it that makes it unique. There's a nice piano solo called The In-Between that leads into Imperfection, and I do like that little bridge there. And then we start off with those kind of driving pianos before we get to the kind of glitchy electronics, and the way that it's so daftly moves around, I like that. It's able to just glide seamlessly all over the place, and it feels like a very smooth ride as we progress throughout this tune. Definitely probably my favorite track here, and overall I would say that it's worth getting new music from Evanescence, even if Synthesis as a whole does in places feel tedious or just maybe a bit unnecessary. For me personally, it's hard to be too harsh to this record because I like the majority of the songs here. Maybe the original versions, maybe I like some of these versions, but it's hard for me to really be too favorable or too unfavorable towards it. So I'm going to be right down the middle towards Synthesis. I think I'm going to give this a strong 3 out of 5, possibly a light 3.5. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it was worth it coming back with Synthesis? Were you a little disappointed that it wasn't all new songs? I think I personally was, and I do hope that there's more around the corner coming from Evanescence, but Lord knows, it's always a long gap between albums. This band never exactly had the traditional course for a band, and that's obviously for a myriad of reasons. Anyways, leave a like on the video today, and if you were able to, please support me on Patreon. It's the top link in the description down below. It helps videos like this keep coming on ARTV and beyond ARTV as well. I reviewed Evanescence's debut album, Fallen, recently. If you want to see that, it's this annotation right here, or you can tap right over here to see another recent review that I did. My Patreon is directly in the corner there, or else top link like I said. All of my socials are in the description, and other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.